I want to talk about Niggas for Life for a minute, man, because
that's Dre's best produced album.
I think Dre was making that transition.
In my opinion.
I think everybody has something to prove. You got to remember, Q had just left the group. And everybody was kind of wondering what
production was way better than Straight Outta Compton.
By far. It's Dre's best produced album to me.
Straight Outta Compton was on some real, like, you know, like a lot of niggas, especially DJs, and him coming from a DJ, he was a blender, man. That nigga knew how to blend records, scratch and all that. So a lot of the first Straight Outta Compton record was a lot of break beat.
Well, it's a very Bomb Squad-esque album.
Exactly.
Very
really
Bomb
up-tempo,
Squad.
Really, you know, like, not too, like, as of today, if you listen to it, you would go, this ain't no West Coast record.
Not at all.
As far as production. Now, what they talking about is West Coast.
All
but
day.
The production, they mocking back east, you know, with the heavy breakbeat influenced tracks.
All day.
The Niggas for Life album was more, you know, bassline riffs and horns.
And back to playing the instruments.
And exactly. So it gave a more of a West Coast feel to
All
the
day.
NWA
and
record.
not to take nothing away from Dre, but Dre has started doing a lot of work with the homies from Above the Law.
Of course.
You got to remember, Above the Law was very, very much in the live instrumentation at the time.
Absolutely.
They actually invented G-Funk around that time because you got to remember, Warren and Snoop were in Above the Law's camp at that time.
Yeah.
They kind of honed their skills over there, you know what I mean, before they got over to, before Snoop started messing with Dre.
Well, you know, I talk about this in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, but if you really look at it, the Vocally Pimpin' EP that Above the Law put out in 91, and then Black Mafia Life, which came out in 92. I don't know how I got it in 92 in Maryland, but I did. I had it before the Chronicles somehow, and I got it from a record store, so maybe it had shipped accidentally or something.
Right.
We had a lot of that back then.
But by the time the Chronic came out, I had heard a lot of the samples that they used on Vocally Pimpin' and Black Mafia Life were used on the Chronic in the exact same way. So Above the Law, they did it first and they created it, and I'd say Dre stamped it and perfected it, and Warren G really commercialized it. So
yeah, for sure. You know, I would say the biggest thing, man, on the Niggas for Life album, man, outside of Dre's production, it's all of them dudes was coming off on there, man.
I was gonna say MC Ren.
Ren was on there killing shit. Ren was destroying shit on there in that album, man. And I think he had a I ain't gonna lie, man, I could picture all them dudes like, man, I'm tired of motherfuckers talking about Q being a man all the time. I'm about to make my statement on this album.
I think Ren was always
he was always there
to the penmanship. Like you said, outside of Cube, I always thought that he stood his own ground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you this, being from here, growing up here, and being in Compton, because on Easy Does It, it's really Easy and Ren are on that album a lot. Mm-hmm. And even on the Straight Outta Compton, it's Dre and Ren are on it a lot.
Yeah, they was back and forth, man.
They were doing the harmonizing.
The Compton and the Hot Compton in the house was cracking, man.
Super cracking.
Yeah, they did a lot of, again, that New York.
They did a lot of that back and forth, man.
Yeah, the Run DMC style.
Was cracking and shit.
So my question, Nate, is when being here, because even in Maryland, I always thought it was more of a equal share. Like I always looked at Ren and Cube back then at this as like the same level dude. Mm-hmm. So was that the vibe out here that you guys were getting?
For me, I always put Ren in the, like, there was no first and second to me back then when they was getting off. Dre was who he was. I never looked at, you know, Dre as, because he was the producer doing the beats and all that. We all knew Easy was a hood nigga, so we knew he wasn't writing his raps and shit.
Right.
But his delivery and his voice.
So cold.
But when it came to, you know, Ren and Cube, I never looked at like, oh, Cube is here and Ren is. I always was like, oh, both of them niggas is fire.
Yeah.
Because
they were.
on Ren's solo record, on Ren, you know, when he would do those solo songs.
If it ain't rough, it ain't me.
Man, that nigga was
Killing it.
So that was they was just both prolific to me at the time.
I actually thought Ren had a little bit more style than Cube.
A lot of people, you know, probably had Ren as the favorite also, because
he was mine. That's
Ren,
for sure.
Ren was hard.
He was just a hard nigga, man.
Gangster Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes. If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Gangster Chronicles, this is not your average show.